Live from Greenwich, Connecticut, you're watching the greatest classic car show in the entire Northeast, the Greenwich Concours d'Elegance on BeTerrific. What's up, Terrifics? I'm Michael Artis here at the Greenwich Concours d'Elegance 2017 in Greenwich, Connecticut, and it is amazing. You are the Terrifics. You make BeTerrific special at BeTerrific TV on all social media. Thanks so much for joining us. I've got Bill here, and Bill has an electric car from 1922. Is this the first electric car? I know there were a lot of electric cars around that time period, and they had to decide between gas and electric, and they went gas, obviously, fossil fuels, and now we're turning back and looking at electric again.
This was one of the most popular one. This is called a Detroit Electric. There were 13,000 of them made. The first one, the first one was made in 1908, but there were dozens, if not hundreds, of electric car companies because in 1900, 40% of the cars on the road were electric cars. So there were a lot.
Do you know why they decided to go with fossil fuels instead of electric at the time?
A few things happened. They started to diminish in the late teens and early 20s. Of course, you needed to be near a charging station, and every house had a charging station if you lived in the city. But if you got in the country, there wasn't power, so they were limited to the cities. And as the 20s came about, the roads got better. Gasoline cars could go out in the country, and they could go, take gas with them and fill themselves up. So the range they were restricted to the cities. And the other big thing was electric starters for cars. They were invented in the early teens, and by the time 1920 rolled around, all cars had electric starters. So what originally sold these cars primarily to women was the fact they didn't have to start them with a crank.
Right.
And they didn't leak and they didn't smell. So
there are a lot of interesting features on it, but I want to start with it's electric through battery.
Right.
You would charge the battery, I guess. You kind of answered that question. It went about 25 to 30 miles an hour, top speed, which was good back then. And it had about a 90-mile range.
Right, although it depends on the condition of the battery and what your terrain is like. It actually, about 5 years ago, went 200 miles on one battery charge in Iowa where it was perfectly flat. So it could go up to that if you had the right conditions and you didn't go too fast.
How do you charge the battery even today, or do you replace them with these?
There's a modern charging unit in the back that you just basically plug it in. And even back in the day, you would plug it into your house. And there wasn't a standard electric service to the houses. Some had it alternating current, some had direct current, and you had transformers or motor generator sets in your house to step it down to a DC charger.
What made you seek this car out?
It's just cool. It's not particularly attractive, but it's really cool.
You drive it?
I do. Well, it's it's able to be driven, but you don't want to put it on the roads and danger yourself with other drivers, but it's certainly drivable.
Can you walk me through some of the features of the car? First of all, the seat seems like it swivels. It would be maybe like the driver's seat.
Right. The jump seat over here does swivel out. The tiller, this is the steering tiller right here, the long one, and the shorter one is a speed selector that gives you 5 forward speeds.
And so it didn't really have a steering wheel. It almost had a rudder.
It had a rudder.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. And so it has 5 forward speeds forward, 5 reverse. You step on that pedal on the floor if you want to go in reverse. It's full torque right away because it's an electric motor. So
right. Just like today. If you've driven a Tesla, which I have, it's full torque, which is amazing. And I love torque. So one of the reasons I love the Teslas. And so I see it has a clock, a voltmeter, which I think was important, a speedometer, an odometer, and what's an ammeter?
Ammeter tells you the current that it's drawing. So between your voltmeter and your ammeter, you can tell the voltage and the current. You know how much juice you have left in your batteries.
If you had to drive it at night or had to use windshield wipers, did that help drain the battery faster?
No windshield wipers, so that didn't drain the battery. The lights would. It has high beams and low beams of sorts. Sure. It has interior dome light and has running lights on the side and a stoplight in the back. So,
What's it like to drive?
It's fun. It's quiet. You don't hear anything. It's a little bit on the top-heavy side, so it's like driving a phone booth. And it's 25, 30 miles an hour is about as fast as you want to go because it's a little hair-raising. Speeds higher than that.
I imagine if you were driving a Model T today, you would want to drive about 25, 30 miles an hour.
Exactly.
Well.
This I would feel more comfortable driving faster than a Model T. Actually.
Yeah.
It stops better. The brakes on this are better than a Model T's.
Would it be possible to sit in it?
Go right ahead.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Now, I really am a big proponent of the electric vehicle. I love the electric vehicle, and I think that this is stunning. And I almost wish that they had figured out back then how to keep this going. And I mean, it's not that they didn't figure out how to keep this going. They just, as you said, they didn't have the infrastructure to make it work as well.
Yep.
And so fossil fuels became more easily sellable, I guess.
Yep, and the as I said, the charging stations being remote weren't able to charge these in the country. So the other so they were used in cities and they lasted quite a long time. They made this until 1939, and they used like electric taxi cabs and electric trucks were in New York City were a big deal.
Wow,
so,
I could imagine. And up front you've got the original battery.
There's a sample Thomas Edison battery that is an original.
Yeah.
It's an alkaline battery, so it doesn't have acid. It has alkaline as an electrolyte, and it's an original, so it works. I've resurrected it, and it works.
And then the other batteries you have there are modern batteries?
Those are modern batteries. They're golf cart batteries, so they're 6-volt rechargeable batteries.
Very cool.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing. And if you think about it, we think that there are no electric cars, but golf carts are electric cars,
exactly.
really. So they've been around, they haven't gone away, and this is absolutely remarkable.
This runs on 14 6-volt batteries, so it's 84 volts altogether is available to run it at max speed. So.
Wow. Dude, how long does it take to charge? How many watts or watt hours would that equate to?
You can charge it overnight.
Okay.
Yeah, you plug it in when you're done with it for the day, and it'll be ready the next day.
This is really, I got to tell you, it's pretty remarkable. It's very comfortable. How often do you take it out?
We've shown it at a number of shows, and we'll take it out for a Sunday drive. But
I like you and your wife get all decked out, and
yeah, we dress up we dress up in the vintage costume that matches the car we have at the show. So
do you collect other cars as well?
Yeah, my collection's got about 10 cars in it.
What do you have?
Model Ts and Model As and a 1936 Ford Phaeton.
Wow, that's pretty cool. What made you get into cars? Like, you just liked them as a kid, or?
Yeah, and after I put my kids through school, and it's like, okay, now's the time I can spend some money on myself, and you just get hooked. It's like eating peanuts; you can't stop. So.
Yeah. And did you spend time restoring this, or is this pretty
This
original?
is pretty much unrestored. The only thing different on this, and I got the car in this condition. It has been in a couple of collections since the late 40s, so it's been stored in museum heated spaces in 2 collections that I know of. So that's why it's in the shape it's in. But the only thing that's ever been, I think the seat cushion was replaced, but the rest of the interior is original to 1922.
Wow.
The curtains and the shade in the back are silk from that day.
So what do your kids think of this car?
Oh, everybody loves it. It's like, it's not it's kind of the ugly duckling, but it's cool.
It's
like
not,
the coolest
though.
thing.
Yeah, it is the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And there's like a little bit of a, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Fringe on television. It's almost like the alternate universe from Fringe, or Sliding Doors. Like, it's really, really an unbelievable thing. Thank you so much for giving us a tour of this. Are there any other quirky little things that are exciting, or on the other hand, like, well, this didn't really work out, and this wouldn't be too practical?
Well, when I first got the car, you see on the floor there's this wide pedal. It's the the service brake, and when you push both of these, that's the emergency brake. Well, what I didn't know was that the only way that releases if you pull back on this. They're interlocked with a speed selector, and I didn't know that. So when I had to get the car off the trailer, I couldn't release the brake. I had to jack it up, put it on roller skates, and wheel it off.
That's funny.
And I accidentally discovered it one day, and it's like, oh, son of a gun. That's how it works.
Oh, and then the key goes right here.
Yep, it locks the
What-
steering.
What are all these switches?
Those are different lighting circuits that power
Wow.
the headlights and the running lights and the interior light.
And what about the brakes? Are they drum brakes, I imagine?
There's 2-wheel mechanical brakes in the back, and
Yeah.
there's also a motor brake. There's a brake shoe on the motor that you engage by pulling that back.
Okay.
Which actually is probably the best brake on the car. It actually stops the car. So if you had to make a quick stop, you push the floor brake and you pull back on that.
And what I know from electric cars today, and I don't know if it was the case then, is that when you cut the electric, it cuts instantly, and it winds up slowing the car down tremendously. So when you, so to speak, pull your foot off the throttle, you're effectively cutting the power,
Right.
and you wind up slowing the car down
Yeah.
a lot more effectively than even braking can do, right?
Yeah, that's
Is
true.
that, is that work today with this?
That's true. The offsetting thing, though, it's got a lot of weight. It's like almost 3,600
Oh,
pounds. So if you're going down a hill, you'll do that. You'll cut the power off,
And
then
it'll keep going.
It'll keep going. So it's got a lot of momentum once it gets going.
Is there regenerative braking in this? I can't imagine
No.
that there is.
No.
Yeah, I mean, that's all
No.
computers and all that stuff.
Yep.
That Have you gotten in a Tesla?
I have, yes. I've gotten in an X and one other one.
What do you think?
They're pretty sweet cars.
Yeah, and this is like the forefather to those cars.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I saw one of the Tesla guys come over here. Do
Yeah.
they come over here a lot
Yeah,
and take pictures?
Yeah, we're going to join the cars together at the end of the show.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. Well, I hope electric cars become even more successful.
Well, thank you for
Thank
stopping.
you for your time. Thanks
Okay,
for
you
showing
bet.
us this. I like this little seat. It's very interesting. It makes me think of when we talk about autonomous vehicles. I said at CES we do the Consumer Electronics Show live, and there were all these guys who were telling us about showing us all these autonomous vehicles they were working on. And I said, why are you making them like cars? If the car's driving itself, why is everybody facing forward and we're making the car like a car? I don't need to sit in a car configuration.
Right.
Why can't we face each other and
Exactly.
make one like a living room? Why can't I get in an Airstream and have it be an office? And this is that.
Exactly that. We actually, when we came on the field this morning, we had stuff stored here, and my wife sat in the seat facing me, and it drew a lot of attention because people couldn't imagine how we could be facing each other, and they had to come see the car. So it was kind of a draw.
It's pretty amazing. Thank you so much,
You
Bill.
bet. You're very welcome.
And thank you guys for watching. You are the Terrifics. There's a whole lot more on our website and live from the Concours d'Elegance in Greenwich, Connecticut. I'm Michael Artsis. You're the Terrifics. Until next time, be terrific. The Greenwich Concours d'Elegance on Be Terrific.